Welcome to The Truth Unplugged, the podcast where faith meets real life. I'm Nicole, here with Father Tim, our pastor, and Father Michael, our parochial vicar. Together, we're diving into your questions about Catholicism life and everything in between.
Whether you're a lifelong Catholic or just curious, this is a place for honest questions, relatable stories, and hopefully a laugh or two along the way.
So grab your coffee or keep both hands on the wheel, settle in, and let's tackle today's questions. Welcome to The Truth Unplugged.
Good morning or afternoon, whenever you're listening to this. Welcome to our podcast. Oh, I muted both of you.
Please.
Why was I muted?
Why
were you muted, Father Tim?
Can you please never say just pod again? That's like
you want me to call it?
It's a podcast.
The party?
No.
No, I can't.
My gosh, you're ridiculous.
You're clearly the mother of toddlers.
She's got mom brain today, this morning.
We're glad you're listening. Thanks for tuning in. Today, we're going to talk about evangelization, which is a fun topic. But first, we're going to address a rumor that I heard this weekend, which is, Father Michael, are you Irish?
Do I sound Irish?
He's Arabic.
What is your ethnic background?
So here's the thing. Americans are really weird. We're like a people without an identity. We're not satisfied just being Americans. We've always got to be like, oh, I'm 1/32nd Irish, therefore I have some superpower, some Irish superpower, or I'm 1/16th Chiricahua Native American, therefore I don't have to apologize for standing on this square meter of land. But I mean, we're Americans. That's what we are. But my family did come over from different places in Europe. I did one of those funny genealogy things. Mm-hmm. It was a 23andMe one, which I think was the less. So
you sold your data.
The less good of the two. Yeah, I didn't know much about them when I did the thing. Anyways, so it did have me a large portion of my gene pool coming from like the Cork area of Ireland.
Really?
However, that being said, I don't know any family history of going back to Ireland. So my name Rivak is Hungarian, and I do have historic proof of my great grandfather coming over from Hungary and setting up a business in Pennsylvania. So we actually have his parish bulletin that he advertised in for his business, and I do have English.
What was his business?
He was an undertaker.
There you go.
Oh,
He was a mortuary.
Seems appropriate.
interesting.
So he did. We don't have much. We don't have any noble blood in either side of my family, except for the noble blood of the Christian, which, baptized. That makes everybody noble.
You were dressed very Irishly on Sunday for somebody with no Irish heritage.
Well, I love St. Patrick's Day. St. Patrick is one of those just boss saints. So I'm very and we have a cultural celebration for him. So I just kind of lean into it. But no particular Irish blood.
Okay, well, Father Tim, you getting more cats? That's the other rumor I've heard.
No, he's not.
No, because 3 is the limit for like crazy.
No, well, 3 is the limit for crazy. 0 is the limit for priests. But,
No, I'm pretty sure if I had another cat, I would have to kill one of them.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
I almost killed Frank this morning. I almost picked him up and drowned him.
Why?
In his water fountain because he wouldn't shut up. He wanted his breakfast and he was just meowing incessantly.
It is a really good thing you became a priest because I don't know if you could handle toddlers.
Can you not drown?
I almost drowned him. Can you not drown them in their
water fountains?
My cat was meowing, asking for food, and I wanted to kill him.
Did toddlers drink out of water fountains?
They would.
I mean, on the floor.
Have you met Stella?
Yeah, you should totally get her a water fountain.
She pours her water on the floor to drink it sometimes. So
has she stolen anything lately?
Yeah. Yesterday, I walk upstairs. Adrian and I were talking in the basement, and I walk upstairs, and she had opened the freezer and gotten a spoon out of the drawer and was eating a tub of ice cream.
Good for her. Good for her.
No shame. She ate like a quarter of it, and I was like,
she ate a bunch of cupcakes and cookies on Sunday too.
Yeah, she told me she had 4. So
Oh,
I think she
Here
had
we
more,
are.
I think she had more than
She
that.
did not go to bed very easily.
she's going to have the diabetes.
I have a question for you both. Solemnity is coming up on Tuesday. Does that mean another break from Lent for all of us? Seeing the Solemnity of
want
the
it.
Annunciation.
Well, I mean, if you just refer back to the lengthy conversation we had about this on the last
Is it-
episode or the episode before that.
Okay, well, the Solemnity of the Annunciation is a stronger feast day than St. Joseph, right?
Nope, they're the same.
Stronger as in like más fuerte or like more important or
Más importante.
They're both first class
yeah.
Okay.
feasts.
Well, I know-
which we now call solemnities.
Annunciation is a holy day of obligation in some.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is in some archdioceses and in
Nope.
the Eastern Church.
No one cares about them.
Some people care about.
No one likes the Orthodox.
Okay, well, it used to be, and now it's not. Historically, it was. It was on the list of holy days of obligation I had to memorize as a child.
One of the 10 that we've like abrogated 4 of them, universally. Maybe, yeah, that might be true.
Yeah, maybe like Vatican I, but
I don't remember what that list is because we've never celebrated those in my lifetime as like all 10 of them as holy days of obligation.
well, there you go.
Apparently, the church's current understanding of how to maintain standards is to not maintain standards and just make it easier for people and see if they remain faithful. And it hasn't worked out real well. So maybe we need to go back to celebrating all 10 of the holy days of obligation because they're
Maybe.
important. They should be important to people who love God.
Is that why you guys try to hold our parish to a high standard?
We do try to hold the parish to a high standard.
I feel like, yeah, as far as parishes in this area go.
Well, I think it's certainly God deserves it, but I think people deserve it too. A part of that standard is we want to always give God the best that we can.
Do you try to hold your children to a high standard?
Well, yeah, but I'm their mom. That's my job.
Well,
Father,
yeah, they're
I know. You're our, whatever, spiritual father, God, leader.
whatever.
yeah.
Thanks.
You talk to your
Great,
dad that
Nicole.
way?
There we go.
Oh yeah, Dad. Yeah, you're just my whatever.
No. No, I mean, I appreciate it as a parishioner, but to move on to our question. It definitely sounds kind of rainbowy.
She's definitely got mom brain this morning.
Yeah.
This is submitted by one of our listeners, Will, who is 11, and he asked, what does it mean to be an atheist? My friends don't think God exists because bad things have happened to them. How do I talk to these friends about God?
That's a good question, Will. And not just 11-year-olds have that question, but people of all ages have that question. I'm thinking of somebody in particular that was in Iraq and asked that same question. God must not exist because bad things have happened to my friends. So I guess the first question is why do bad things happen, right? Why does God allow bad things to happen? And ultimately, that's because of the fall, because of Adam and Eve. Our first parents sinned, and we have followed in that sinfulness. But from that fall, from death, even from the death of Jesus, come good things, come the resurrection, come redemption, come restoration, come friendship with God. We look at those bad things that happen as something that is able to actually lead us closer to God. So that's the first thing to acknowledge. But then that some people don't believe in God is a sad thing for those of us that do believe in God, because they must not have experienced God, or they've only experienced something bad and they haven't experienced the good that's able to come from that. So I think we have to help them to be able to experience the goodness of God. And we've got to be able to help them to recognize that from bad things that might have happened to them, good things can come about.
That's a good answer, Father Tim.
So, Will, I'll just echo in some way what Father Tim just said. If God wants you to be able to make up your own mind and to choose him freely, he's got to also let you make bad decisions. And because he gave us free will, because he wants us to be able to love him, and you can only love freely, you have to be able to choose not to love. And that's why bad things happen, because people choose not to love. They choose to be selfish, and they choose to destroy greater good things in order to obtain for themselves lesser good things in life. And ultimately, God is the greatest good thing. And sometimes people see God as a threat to their freedom. And so they would rather get rid of God to be totally free, to be able to do whatever they want. No morals, no laws, no rules, just whatever I want I can get because there's no God there to tell me otherwise. And that's a really sad image for people to have of God. This just somebody who's just trying to oppress them and take away their will, right? But the reality is bad things happen in the world because God allows us to have our will, right? To choose. But ultimately, he gives us that freedom to choose what's good. He wants us to use our brains to identify what good is, and then he wants us to use our wills to choose that over things that are bad. And people get that wrong all the time. I get that wrong all the time. The reason that I'm able to do that is because God loves me and he wants me to be able to love him. So he gives me free will. That's why bad things happen. And people shouldn't just try to deny God because bad things happen. In fact, the fact that bad things happen and that good ultimately comes out of them, as Father Tim said, is really proof of a loving God, right? And you shouldn't not believe something just because you can't see it, but rather look for the greater aggregate or the greater total of the evidence for something. Yeah, we can't see God, but there's a whole bunch of evidence for God that's just not visible. That's all.
Yeah, I think like what you were saying about like what. So he did ask like what does it mean to be an atheist? And I think we'll like in this time that we live in, atheism is like the easy way, right? Like loving God means you have to make a choice and you have to sacrifice and you have to do things that do not feel natural. You have to choose to love God and you have to choose to do right when you want to do wrong and
Sometimes
your flesh
you have
wants
to choose
sin.
the harder thing.
You have to choose the harder thing.
You have to choose to love enemy.
And that's not easy. And I think it's kind of like a scapegoat, honestly, to be agnostic or to be atheist. And like, it's just easier to choose to believe in nothing for some people.
It's really being dishonest in a sense because
right.
we intuit that God exists.
Yeah. There's, science to back it up. If you like use logical reasoning, you read St. Thomas's Summa, like there's just so much evidence for the existence of God, but it requires you to make a choice and to actively live that out, even though like it's not necessarily like what's always more pleasurable or more fun or what's easy or what everyone else is doing. So,
well, and there's also like with God, oftentimes there's a deferred good or a deferred gain where it's like do these really hard things and then someday you'll have heaven. And people,
it goes back to the idea
people
of
are suspicious
good comes from bad.
People are suspicious of that. Like,
yeah,
well, why don't you just give me the good thing now, God?
right.
But the reality is, we can't be who we're meant to be unless we suffer, and part of that suffering is not having our heart's desire fulfilled immediately, but rather learning how to. If God gave us what we wanted right now, there would be no room for hope. Because we would have what we wanted. Yeah. God wants us to hope. So he suspends what we really want in order to get us to have faith in him, to trust him, ultimately to hope for the thing that we actually want. All of these are way better things for us than to have the reward right out of the gate, right? And so because he wants what's best for us, he leaves us to struggle and to suffer and to strive and to hope, so that when we do ultimately share in the reward that he offers us, we feel like we've earned it. Like we not in a expectant like a I deserve this, God, but that I share in this victory. Part of that's mine. I did some of this, like shake and bake. I helped.
Yeah.
I helped you save the world, and so I'm satisfied being in heaven now because I feel like I belong.
So, Will, I think that. You asked how do you talk to friends that are like outwardly, denying the existence of God? Like the best way probably at your age to start is just to witness, like through your actions in your speech. Like you just do your best to like talk, like don't hide your faith in conversation. Don't be work on maybe, being courageous when it's uncomfortable, like, hey, I go to mass, or invite them to youth group, talk about you going to mass, talk about like, oh yeah, like don't hide your prayer life, don't hide your faith life from these friends just because they don't believe in the Lord, because like you don't know what kind of seed that might plant in their heart. And honestly, your witness and your commitment to living your faith at school or, wherever you're hanging out with these people, is going to, in the long run, produce a lot of fruit. Even though it might be uncomfortable, or they might make fun of you right now, or might, reject you in some way. But ultimately it will, be more fruitful just for you to witness by example.
And this might be, well, this might go a little bit beyond advice directly to you, but it might be helpful for other people who are listening too. You used a word in there in that question. How do I talk to these friends about him? And the word friend there is tricky because ultimately you don't want to be friends with people who are enemies of God, right? Friends are meant to help you know God and love God and serve God, so that you can both, you and your friend, be in heaven together happily with Jesus, right? That friendship is something that is meant to be directed beyond this life. It's meant to be an aid. I mean, all friends, even natural friends, like even friends before Jesus and friends were understood to be aids in advancing you in a good way towards life. If there's somebody who's taking you away from something that is good, that's not your friend. You might like them. You might want them to be a friend. You might admire this person, but ultimately, if they're taking you away from something that is good that you need, they're actually your enemy, because that's what enemies do. Enemies hurt you. Friends help you. You can like an enemy and you can not like a friend, right? Somebody who's actually helping you and you recognize that, you can say, man, I really don't like, it's not my favorite thing to be around you, but every time I'm around you, I'm better. You're my friend. Or, man, I really like being around this person, but every time I'm around him, I get in trouble. That's not a friend. That's an enemy you like. So be aware too. You don't have to be one. You can like people, but know that they're not really your friends because they're not helping you, or they're making God their enemy. And you can know that, yeah, you know what? I don't really like this group of people, but man, I'm always better when I'm around them. And you want to invest in that. So you just need to make a choice as you get older about who you make your friends to be. You don't want friends because you like the same video games. You want friends because you want to end up in the same place in the end.
And we don't have to be friends with everybody.
Yeah.
True. My own personal example is there's this person I play pickleball with. You guys are both laughing at me before I
Is it an 80-year-old?
Rolling our eyes.
It's a younger human like myself. But
80-year-olds aren't human? Is that what you're saying?
No,
wow, Nicole, that's mean.
I'm not saying
That's
that.
ageist, actually,
That's
I think, isn't it?
But I really struggle. Like, we don't get along very well. But it's like we're in this constant.
It's Adrian, isn't it?
No, it's not Adrian. But we are in
Shelby.
this environment together often, like really frequently, a couple times a week, and I have to interact with her. But I felt like the Lord is pushing me, like she's very not Christian. She's very opposite of everything that I am. But like the Lord has like really called me in the past few weeks to stop like hiding my faith from her and like witness to her and evangelize to her through being kind to her, through like,
But you
when she says, "What are you doing this weekend?" I'll be like, "Yeah, I went to mass," or and so.
But you recognize just because you're spending time with her, you don't have to call her your friend.
No,
Like friend needs to be a title that we hold in reserve.
Yeah, for sure.
So and I'm kind
but
of just
that's
talking.
hard when you're young.
That's true.
Like a teenager, and everyone is your. If you're not friends with everybody,
yeah, anybody you know is your friend.
Yeah.
But that's something that I think younger kids would do well to know earlier on, is that you can have acquaintance. It's okay to have colleagues.
Yep.
Your classmates are your colleagues. Okay, you happen to be working in the same space. That makes them your colleagues.
Your
not
baseball
your friend,
teammates.
Right? Your
yeah.
baseball teammates. Those are teammates,
but they're not your friends necessarily.
no, but there's an important,
There's a camaraderie.
Yeah, there's an important, that you could call them brothers. There's an important title for them, right? But it doesn't have to be friend. You can have acquaintances. These are people that you know and that you spend time with, and that you might even actually like to spend time with, but you're acquainted with them. People that aren't Christians that I happen to like, I put in the category of acquaintances. I don't trust my soul to you. I'm not opening my conscience to you. I am not going to rely on you for the most important things in this world. I like spending time with you. We'll hang out together. We'll drink a beer and have a cigar or whatever. We'll do those things. That'll be great. I'm not trusting myself to you though. That's for my friends, and there are fewer people in the world that I welcome into that level of intimacy, and those are the people that I call friends.
Father Tim, any final thoughts?
No, I think he said a lot.
He did. Good job, Father Michael. All right.
Was it a good job, or was it just beating a dead horse? Who knows?
We'll find out in the editing.
Yeah,
We don't
We'll
edit
find
this.
we'll find out in the comments.
Okay, and now on to everyone's favorite.
Rapid fire. It's not going to be so rapid.
All right, first question from Joe, who is aged 13. He made sure to put that in the email. Why are Catholics not supposed to be cremated?
Simple answer is because Jesus rose from the dead and ascended to heaven, and we're called to show the body respect, and that we're going to have our body in heaven when we rise from the dead and are united with Christ to his glorified body. So that's why it used to be forbidden and now is kind of not recommended but tolerated. Yeah, we have to show respect to the body. We're not just some soul trapped in a body that when we die, the soul escapes and goes and flutters away and our body doesn't matter. Our body does matter. Jesus rose from the dead with his body, took his body to heaven. We're going to have our bodies in heaven. I'm told that it's going to be your body at the age of 33.
Not looking good for you.
I'm 36 now, thank you. And people have been telling me that I'm losing weight, which I don't know that that's accurate, but apparently it looks like I am.
But I think it's important to recognize what happens to our souls when we're baptized also happens to our bodies. That we are ransomed in the totality of what we are from sin and death and the domain of the devil to be consecrated as priest, prophet, and king in Jesus. And that includes our body as well as our soul. This isn't, to your point, it's not something, being a Christian is not a soul thing. It's a human thing. And to be a human is both body and soul. And so just as we respect our bodies, just as we respect our souls in terms of conscience and will, we also respect our bodies, and treating our bodies with reverence and death like we would any sacred object is part of a Christian funeral rite.
I have nothing more to add other than don't sprinkle any ashes anywhere.
No ash sprinkling.
Although I did have, my mom had to deal with her dad asking her to, he wasn't Christian, and he was like, I want you to sprinkle my ashes in the ocean. And
If he's not a Christian, you can do whatever you want with him.
No, that's not true.
No, it is true. I don't mean disrespect them. No. I don't mean disrespect. But the burial, you can respect the burial rights of another person who's not Christian. So if you want,
Do you want a Viking funeral?
Yeah.
Me? No,
she can't have a Viking funeral. She's a Christian.
No, I'm saying if you're a Viking and you want a Viking funeral,
You can
Sure.
do it. Yeah,
then
as a Christian,
I'm going to fire the flaming arrow at
But
you.
as a Catholic, shouldn't she say no?
No.
Like, that's not respectful.
If he's
to
not a
body?
Christian,
Well, we don't know what happens. Well, so he was baptized, right, at one point, but
then he was a Christian.
lived like pronounced atheist life.
That's fine, but he's still a Christian. So yeah, that changes things. That's not the scenario that you presented in the beginning.
Sorry, it's my fault. Okay.
But
It is your fault.
I have a friend who was a Hindu, converted to Christianity. His mother was Hindu. She died a Hindu, and he dropped her ashes into the river like you're supposed to as a Hindu. Right? That's what he did as a Christian.
Okay.
Right? Because
interesting.
she was a Hindu. So there's a lot of sad implications to that. But the beautiful thing, though, is that he was honoring her traditions without in any way infringing on the Christian dignity that he possesses.
Interesting. Okay. That could be a question that we could expand upon at a different time, potentially. All right, next question. Would you rather have the power to turn water into wine or instantly refill any empty coffee cup and keep it hot?
I'm thinking the coffee cup.
I'm team coffee cup.
Is it? Am I refilling it with my espresso?
Yeah, it's probably the best. Well, just like Jesus turned the water into the best wine, You're turning it into the best
The
coffee.
best
Yeah,
coffee.
the best coffee. I think that would be the way to go. I'm on the coffee train.
I am too.
Yeah, because I mean, wine is something that's to be savored and to be kind of longed for. So,
Well, then I'd take a glass of whiskey over wine. Anyways, now if the question was filling up any tumbler or any
Turn water into whiskey.
turning water into whiskey,
water of life.
which is what whiskey means, really. It's just
Okay.
it's better. Whiskey means better water. Is what it means.
Oh,
essentially.
okay.
In every language, it means better water.
You're right. That's exactly what I call it.
Vodka means what's vodka mean? Little water.
That-
The word vodka in Russian means little water,
oh, thank you for that linguistic explanation.
and whiskey means water of life.
Next question. Do you have a hot take food combo that others would think is weird?
Oh,
Is
yeah.
this like pineapple on pizza sort of
I
thing?
think it would be pineapple on pizza, but that feels really
Well, it's more normal now. So.
normal.
yeah.
Yeah. People are team
Yeah, people
fruit.
that are like, you can't put pineapple on pizza. It's like, get over yourself. Okay, you can put whatever you want on pizza.
That's the idea of pizza, is that you
Yeah.
can literally, it's a dumping ground for food you don't know what to do
True,
with.
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
A little leftover pizza.
I love the episode of Seinfeld where Kramer goes into business with Poppy at his pizza restaurant, and they're talking about pizza, and they're saying it's not a pizza until it comes out of the oven is one side, and the others say no, it's a pizza as soon as you put your fists into the dough to start mashing it. And they're having this like parallel argument also about abortion. And they're using the
Interesting.
little pizza thing, and it's like, yeah, as soon as you start making the pizza, it's a pizza.
I was wondering where that was going to go. Okay.
Well, people make that argument about a cake a lot. They're like, okay, well, you wouldn't say that you've destroyed my cake if you dropped the eggs on the ground before they got mixed in. Like that's one of the arguments that people will make about like the pro-abortion arguments is like, well, it's not really a baby because it's not there.
Okay, but what is your hot take food combination?
What about putting ranch on stuff? Is that
Yeah,
a
That
can
was
be
the one
weird
that
for a
came
lot
to
of people.
my mind was ranch on spaghetti, but
there's nothing wrong with that.
I hope
No,
the
there's
Zaccharinos don't listen to
there's a
that.
lot-
They
there's
would
a lot
hate
wrong
that.
with
Along with a little just plain ground beef and ranch on spaghetti.
No, like pasta sauce, noodles, Parmesan, ranch.
Oh no, that's screwed up.
It's so good.
No, it's not.
It's like, just imagine, have you had ranch on pizza?
Yeah,
It's like that, but noodle.
She's got a point.
she does have a point, unfortunately. But yeah, I don't know.
You have to try it one day for me.
I'm not ruining my pasta sauce with ranch.
It's good.
My pasta sauce is way too
It's
good.
like if you're sad and you buy a ragu sauce at the store.
I don't
and
buy ragu sauce
I know
at the
you
store.
don't, but if you were sad and you weren't feeling like yourself for some reason and you did that, putting ranch in it makes it way
He'd be
better.
sad after he did that. He
Yeah.
wouldn't be.
No, he'd feel very comforted by the delightful mixture that is.
But does it
ranch
have
and
to
spaghetti.
be? Does it have to be Hidden Valley ranch, or the Chick-fil-A brand ranch?
You're gonna not like this, but I exclusively use store brand dressings.
Why?
I don't know.
Because you're
Just-
cheap.
Yeah.
Isn't it cheaper to make your own dressing? I don't know. I don't know if I have any very strange.
You put soy sauce on everything.
I put
Oh,
soy
what?
sauce. I put soy sauce on a lot of starches. It's mostly rice, though. I eat like my starch of choice is rice.
How about
I put soy
when
sauce
you
on rice.
buy sweet and sour chicken?
Oh yeah, okay. So this isn't a weird one. I don't think people are gonna freak out, but it's super unhealthy. This is probably the worst way that I eat food. I will order, and this is like my comfort. This is my version of total comfort food. I will buy sweet and sour chicken from like some random Chinese takeout place, and fried rice, and then I will not put the sweet and sour sauce on the chicken. I'll eat the chicken plain, but I will bite the end off and pour soy sauce into
Ew.
Into the
tempura. And
So it's like
eat
a
that.
little juicy.
Salt lick. It's
Ew.
so bad. It's grease and salt.
That's so
literally
bad for
Oh, I
you.
know. It's so bad. This is why my cholesterol is so.
This is what I was
so
gonna
high.
say. This is why your cholesterol was bad.
But I don't do that very often at all.
I think you should never do that again.
well,
yeah,
that's not
maybe
gonna happen.
just like
That
once
sounds
every
like
2
a
weeks.
heart attack.
No,
Once every
it's not once every 2 weeks. Get out of here.
What's yours? You don't have one, do you?
No, I put ranch on a lot of stuff. I don't know.
But like what? What's
Chick-fil-A,
weird?
I like to.
That's not weird.
Yeah.
I also used to put tartar sauce on hot dogs. That's a pretty good
Tartar sauce on
combination.
hot dogs. That sounds great.
It is good,
That sounds fantastic.
particularly a turkey dog though. not a beef.
That sounds disgusting.
No, nobody should be eating a turkey dog.
Why do you have to ruin everything with some sort of weird alternative?
It's a hot take.
I don't know.
Obviously,
I think
obviously.
all my food preferences are weird.
I don't think that's true.
Your hot take food combination is no vegetables, all protein, starch. That is it.
Yeah, that's
And carbs.
Sorry, yeah, carbs and
She said
protein.
starch. You said
No,
starch, right?
well,
Protein and starch.
no, because vegetables are carbs.
Yeah.
So
So is pasta.
No, the no vegetable thing is definitely. I wouldn't call it a hot take. I'd call that just weird
it's a pretty hot.
and very unhealthy. like my chicken tempura.
Nothing weird about not liking
All right.
vegetables.
Next question.
No, there's nothing weird about not liking vegetables.
Next.
There is something weird about not ever eating vegetables.
That is weird. Next question, or calling. Actually, you know what's weird is that he calls himself a foodie, but does not partake in any kind of
I don't
vegetable.
know that I call myself a foodie.
You do.
Or most food. No, so having high standards and expectations for one's food does not make one a foodie.
But he's like, oh, if Father Tim talks about a place that he goes to, he talks about the food. But like, have you really experienced a culture if you don't consume their vegetables?
That's a fantastic question. That's a great idea. Yeah, most uncultured person I know, right? Yeah.
There you go.
Sitting across the table.
Okay, next question. What's the difference between a diocesan priest and a priest in an order?
Goodness.
Yeah, we're normal. Not weird.
Joking aside, an order priest becomes a member of a community as a priest, so they get ordained a priest. But to be a member of a Christian, a very specific and articulate, a very specific Christian community, like the Franciscans, you become a priest to serve the Franciscans and to enter into the service of their apostolate. So Franciscans take care of the poor. Dominicans preach. Jesuits used to teach. And so if you wanted to dedicate your life as a priest to a particular apostolate, or as not a priest, but as a lay brother, as to a particular service or a particular community, you became a religious. If you want to serve the church broadly and then within the diocese and work for the bishop, then you become a diocesan priest, also known as a secular priest. And so we live in the world sort of as, not quite as lay people, but we live in the world not dissimilar to lay people, whereas the religious live very differently from lay people in community.
Right. The religious, they have a particular charism for each different community. And the religious also take vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience. So they don't own anything, and they're strictly obedient to their superior, like to the point that they can be told, go clean the floor. Whereas diocesan priests, secular priests, we make promises of obedience to the bishop, along with celibacy and prayer. But the obedience that we promise is not the same as the vow of obedience.
What's the level of simplicity of life? Is that I can't remember if that's a
No, that's not a promise. It's just an understanding that we should
an exemplary to live a simple Christian life as an example.
I think we live very simple lives, you and I. With the way that we eat and travel and the things that we own.
But the point here is that diocesan priests are allowed to have things like we have our own money. We have our own cars. We have our own. You can even have, as a diocesan priest, you can even have your own house. There's nothing wrong with that as a diocesan priest. As a religious priest, though, you're intentionally taking a vow of poverty.
Yeah, where you own nothing.
To say, I don't want to own anything in the world.
Priests in an order assigned to parishes?
They can be.
Okay.
They have various different.
We have ordered priests working in parishes in the
They're
archdiocese.
not pastors, are they?
Yeah, they are.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So,
like
so the
Immaculate
Legionaries of Christ, Legionaries of Christ in St. Brendan, the Navigator, and Cumming. Pray for them, by the way. Their house just burned down like a week or two ago. So anybody who's listening, take a minute and say a prayer for our priests who are Legionaries of Christ living in Cumming, because their community house got struck by lightning and burnt down. And so that's tough.
Next question. Name a home-cooked meal from childhood that makes you feel nostalgic.
Chicken croquets. I remember several years ago asking my mom, hey, what are those like little chicken mashed potato things that you used to make? Can you make those? And she's like, oh, well, that was like poor people food that we made from leftovers for the kids. And I was like, okay, well, but can you make that? And so instead of having leftover chicken and mashed potatoes, she went out and bought a rotisserie chicken and shredded it and then made mashed potatoes. And then you like mix it all together and you bread it and you just shallow fry it.
Oh.
I think most people's nostalgic food is going to be poor people food because the nostalgia starts when you're young, right?
Yeah, that's true.
And when you're
You don't have as
young,
much time.
usually your family's just starting out. Your parents are just starting out, and so you're not eating the stuff that maybe you'd eat when you became an adult.
What's your food?
So my food is probably like my mom's beef stew. Yeah.
Do you think that's why people long for bad church music? Because it's the nostalgia.
100%.
Yeah, because I mean, even like if I hear the bad
grew up
church
with.
music, I'm singing it. I know the harmonizations to it.
100%.
Because it's like, oh yeah, I'm comfortable with this. I grew up with this. This is my jam.
On Eagle's Wings.
Oh yeah.
And,
Oh yeah.
And when you're a kid, I mean, unless, and this is really tragic, right? But when you're a kid, usually it's the time that you have the least concern with life for the future. Things feel safer, more stable. And so as you get older, things get more complicated. And so when you hit those simple things, it's like Rosebud, right? In Citizen Kane.
Mine is a meal called turkey turnovers, and it's like so my mom grew up in Trinidad, and
Do they just have like boundless turkeys in Trinidad?
no,
since
no,
you
no,
eat so
but
much turkey.
The culture is really that's funny. I didn't think about that. The culture is very heavily influenced by Indians. So there's a lot of like curry-like recipes, but then it's got like a Caribbean twist. So this is like
Wait,
it's almost like a
influenced by like
Duck.
Caribbean Indians or
No, in India.
like
Indians.
India Indians.
Yeah.
what are they doing in Trinidad?
I don't know.
They love Trinidad
But
and
they
Tobago.
they moved in that area apparently. I'm not super familiar with the history. That's my meal. It's got a lot of curry in it.
I love curry.
It's like a ground turkey, and then you wrap it in a pie shell and you bake it in the oven.
Is it a full pie or is it like a pasty, like a
It's like
a handheld dish?
We ate it with a fork,
Okay.
so I'm not really. Like, you just like cut it up into quarters, and then everyone gets a quarter.
Yeah. Okay.
But it was
like
really good.
Like a apple pie.
Maybe I'll make it for you guys one day.
That'd be great.
That instead of
Just use beef instead of turkey, though.
no, it does not taste good with beef, in my opinion.
No,
But I think that might be
make
the
it right way.
nostalgia
Make it the
talking.
way. And even put vegetables in it if vegetables are supposed to be in it.
There's like green peppers, carrots, raisins.
Raisins.
Raisins are
Tomatoes.
vegetables.
Did you say they're not vegetables?
They're
Yeah, neither are tomatoes.
They're literally dried grapes.
What's a grape?
Okay,
Grapes
whatever.
for-
Wow.
All right, we're going to talk about one thing's everyone's favorite
Oh,
part
I
of the
forgot.
show.
I forgot about the one thing.
I actually
He
have
actually
a
has
one thing.
one.
I have a one thing this
So you're
time.
gonna go
I'll go
first.
first.
Yay.
So my one thing is we're recording this on St. Joseph's Feast Day. You're listening to it the day after St. Joseph's Feast Day. So I thought I'd give a one thing regarding like carpentry. And my one thing is the Japanese pole saw. And Nicole, when I was telling her this before the show, she's like, "That sounds so pretentious."
'Cause it
and
does.
And it's maybe it sounds pretentious, but it's really not. It's just it's a style of saw that originated in Japan. They're not particularly expensive. You can get one for $15. You can get a nice one for $50. But the difference and why this is so awesome for anybody anywhere who ever need to use a saw, a hand saw, get a Japanese pole saw instead of an American saw. American saws teeth work. They cut on the push stroke of the sawing motion, and that's the weakest part of the action. The Japanese pole saws, like the name would indicate, work on the pull stroke, which is much stronger. You're much better at pulling things than you are pushing things away from you. And the blade is also thinner, so you get less kerf. It's a thinner kerf, so you lose less material. You can make a finer cut, and they're just really, really, really good. So if you ever need to cut anything, my suggestion to you is look to the east and get yourself a Japanese pole saw.
And for once in the history of this show, it's something Father Michael's recommending that's under $20.
Yeah, so
On the opposite end of the spectrum, my one thing is my Mont Blanc 149. If you know, you know.
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, you would be scandalized if you knew.
But I have to link it, so I'm going to find out.
Well, it's
Is it a wine?
No, it's my fountain pen. Somebody gave it to
Oh,
me.
wait, no, I know what that is.
Yeah, somebody.
These are like men's luxury gifts.
Yeah, somebody gave me this fountain pen when I was ordained a deacon, and said it's your signature pen. Use it for signing thank you notes and things like that.
That's sweet, actually.
And then I looked it up, and I was like, wow.
So maybe if you have a man in your life that does a lot of handwriting, it'd be a good Father's Day gift.
Yeah, you should buy Adrian a Mont Blanc 149.
I won't. I don't think he signs anything.
Maybe 146.
I have an idea for what.
If you are interested in getting men gifts, though, pens and watches are great. Also, yeah, I mean, obviously, if they gear any sort of gift, men do not mind getting practical gifts. I know women want gifts that speak to the sort of the emotional tie of the relationship. Men don't mind practical gifts.
Matt Walsh has got a good bit on getting gifts for men, is that men have kind of made up their mind. There's like 3 things that they like in life, and they're not going to expand their likes beyond that. So once you know what those 3 things are, if you get a gift that works within those 3 things, you're safe getting a gift for a man. Don't try to get creative and try to introduce something new to his life. Like, oh, I'm going to, get you into bird watching now because I think that's a good hobby for you. No, if I were into bird watching, trust me, I would be into bird watching.
That's true, but
I would have all the bird watching stuff.
I think I have 4.
Yeah. Your hobbies.
Motorcycles, right?
Woodworking.
Firearms, and I mean, you can call it a hobby, but it's a luxury enjoyment, but like cigars and whiskey. You get a gift for me in any of those categories, and I'm grateful for it. But if I get some weird off the
socks
wall thing, yeah, like Father Tim's thing is socks.
Yeah, I hate it when people give me socks now because I don't have room for them anymore.
You have so many socks. My one thing, Adrian and I have like found ourselves kind of like battling a little bit lately about like, we always feel like somebody's accusing the other of something. And so, but like, you bring it up and you're like, I'm not accusing you of anything. And he was listening to a podcast yesterday, or a clip from a podcast. And John Elridge, who wrote Wild at Heart, was on Pints with Aquinas. And he was talking about this exact scenario with Matt Walsh. And wrong guy, Matt Fradd.
Matt Fradd. We did just mention Matt Walsh, though.
Yeah, that's why I think that's why it's in my
head.
We
should link both of those guys.
And he said like his wife and him were having that conversation, and they realized that since they were experiencing this, and it wasn't true, that the accuser, the devil, was the one introducing this dynamic into their relationship. And he had a prayer that he recommended that spouses pray together, or particularly that the husband pray with the wife. And so Adrian did it anyway, and it was just like a cloud lifted, and it was really cool. And I was like, wow, the Lord is good. So I will link that because I don't remember all the words of the prayer, and I don't want to botch it because it was really beautiful. So that's my one thing.
That's great.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, I listened to a little clip of that Pints with Aquinas the other day, and your man there, the Wild at Heart man, was talking about the dangers of what he referred to as hard-ass Christianity, where you're just like combative and trying to own everybody. And it was good. So I think I'm going to listen to the rest of
the whole apologetics movement of like always arguing your point. That's obviously I had a phase in college and stuff, and even in the seminary where I got to that, and then I realized the truth doesn't need me to defend it. The truth just wants me to live it.
I have a policy. I don't get in arguments with Protestants. I just tell them, I say, look, you're telling me something contrary to the faith, so you have to prove it against the teachings of the church and the church fathers and scripture and tradition.
Burden of proof is on you.
So I'm not proving anything. Jesus said, what he said. So,
Amen. All right. These will all be linked in the show notes. So look at them. Thanks for listening.
To those of you who enjoy this, I'm so glad that you enjoy it. We have fun making it.
We have fun making it.
I think we should try to figure out a way to broaden our audience. Maybe we can get syndicated somehow.
What is...
Maybe Ascension Press will pick us up.
We appreciate that you guys listen to us ramble and smack talk each other for an hour, almost an hour.
Hopefully you get some good stuff out of it too.
Yes, thank you for listening. Please submit some questions to us if you've got them. please send them our way via email at podcast@stclarecc.org, or you can text us a question at the link in our show notes, and we'll probably get around to them.
Okay, well, look, folks, follow and subscribe and share the podcast, The Truth Unplugged, with your friends and your family. And if you enjoyed today's episode, make sure you leave a 5-star review so that we can reach more people.
We will see you guys. Well, we won't see you, but you'll hear us next week.
Bye.
Sound like that turkey dish that you're going to make us.